This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Iowa 911 Communications Council meeting for May 2020. We're doing this electronically because of the coronavirus situation. If we could, Carol, could you just do a rundown of the council just to see who is here so we can determine whether we have a quorum?
I can. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. Tracy Bearden,
I'm here.
Lawrence Hartpence, Lawrence Hartpence. Okay. Sheriff Rotter,
Here.
George Griffith,
Here.
Mike Bryant, Mark Murphy.
Here.
Jeff Anderson,
Present.
Robbie Johannesson, Rob Dennert,
Here.
Jack D'Angelo,
Here.
Taylor Teeple, okay, that's it, Rob.
Okay, it looks to me like we do have a quorum, so thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to forego doing guest introductions. I think you can see on our screens who's here, and it's going to be just a little bit too impossible to do this in any kind of order. So if I could just move along in the agenda, if we could please get a motion to approve today's agenda.
George.
So moved.
Motion to, for a second.
Okay, Carol, were you able to hear who made the motion in the second?
Yeah, I'm going to give it to Tracy for first and George Griffith for second, I believe.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
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 And all those opposed? Very well, the motion carries. And if we could do likewise, if I could please get a motion to approve the March 12th, 2020 minutes.
So moved.
Okay, who made the motion?
Rob Dennert.
Okay, Rob Dennert. Do we have a second?
Jeff Anderson.
Very well, any discussion? All those in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, Blake, do you have a report for us?
I do. Can you see my slides?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Sounds I will try to advance them. Hold on. All right. It's been a while since we met, so a number of things to update everyone on. About a month ago, we did send out notice to the PSAPs and to the wireline carriers that the wireline migration had been delayed by approximately a month. That's still the time frame we're operating on, and we're hoping to get those dates rescheduled soon. If you're looking for a reason for that, it was really the third-party infrastructure that's needed was not in place. So working with Comtech and ICN and ICN's partners, we're having meetings multiple times a week to get that up and running. So again, it is looking like it'll be that approximate 1 month delay. You know, it might slide to 5 weeks or something like that. But for all practicality, we're still thinking a 1 month delay. Any questions on that? I'll move to the financials. Apologies, I just got the expenditure report finalized yesterday and sent out to the council. That's also posted on our website for those who are interested. You can see that wireless surcharge is basically normal, 7.1 million, 56,000 for interest, and prepaid was just over a half million. You can see the network costs were 1.3 million and total PSAP funding was 4.6 million. The amount transferred into the operating surplus was 1.5. When you look at the various other parts of the fund, the virtual consolidation, council travel, public education and training, it shakes out to around $10 million is what we have available to spend. And you can kind of see that I did tweak this form a little bit, so it gives you a snapshot of the quarterly surplus as well as the annual year-to-date surplus. Also, I believe since we last met, needed to update everyone. If you remember, I had been withholding surcharge from Chickasaw County from really 2 years ago, their expenditure collection form. They have since submitted that. So we have caught them up on what we have been withholding. So they're whole now. And with the most recent expenditure collection sheet, we do have all of the forms. So I have not had to withhold any funding from anyone going forward, which will be nice. Any questions on the financials? Okay, moving on then to the last bullet. The estimated end of year pass-through amount is 2.8 million. And if you remember from last year, the way we do this is we don't factor in any recurring costs, but any of our identified non-recurring costs, any contracts that we haven't made payments on for non-recurring costs, we still retain that. And then whatever is left, we basically zero out the surplus. So again, this is just an estimate at this point. We do have another quarter to go. But right now, what we're looking at is 2.8 million, which shakes out to around $25,000 per PSAP. And again, that 2.8 is just divided by the number of PSAPs in the state, where we need to split that amount equally amongst the PSAPs, which again comes out to about $25,000. And we would anticipate getting that out the door around the 1st of August. Any questions? Okay, I have a few more slides, so if you come up with anything, don't hesitate to stop me and ask. I want to give you an update on where we're at on the GIS grant. Again, we missed last month, so a little bit to catch you up on. In March, there were 9 counties who qualified and met the benchmarks for the grant. In April, there were an additional 19 counties. That brings the total for this second 6-month period to 79 counties and a total of $510,000. If you look at a snapshot at this time last year, we're basically one PSAP difference between this year and last year. So right on track with where we were last year with that significant jump in the data quality that we're looking for. So a reminder that you still have all of May and June to qualify if you have not done so for those 20 counties who have not yet met the benchmarks. You still have basically a month and a half to do so. Looking ahead, normally try to do this around the May or June timeframe, give everyone an idea of what we're thinking for the upcoming fiscal year's grants. And you know what? I typoed that. I meant that to be 98% alley to road center line. So it should be 98% GIS as well as 98% alley to road center line. So just raising it to 3% on the alley to road center line. Not finalized yet. That's just proposed. Come back next month and finalize that. But just wanted to give everyone a heads up on what we were thinking for next year's grants. Any questions? All right, moving ahead. I know this is a topic for later in the meeting as well, but wanted to give you an idea of where we stand with the travel, public education, and especially the training portion of the fund. We did have a number of applicants who were approved for funding and who have not been able to hold their training. So they're listed there with the total amounts that really have been returned. So it's those five: Delaware County, BV County, an APCO additional training, Cerro Gordo's training, and then the APCO NINA spring conferences. What remains, the Law Enforcement Academy is prepared and planning to hold their course virtually. So that was an additional $5,000 that we will be able to expend. So the left-hand side kind of gives you the idea of where we're sitting. My proposal going forward is for those applicants who had to cancel their training to kind of be prioritized next fiscal year. So I mean, they would still need to submit an application, but basically give them somewhat of a blanket approval to make sure, if they still want to hold it, if they still can hold it, that we put them first in line to hold the training next year. And I know we're going to have that conversation about skin in the game, not necessarily making any grand statements on what I think should happen as far as that. But I do think we need to allow those entities to carry on with their training once everyone is able to meet again. So, any questions on where we stand with this fund?
Blake?
Yep.
Rob Denner. Is there any plan to disperse the remaining 40,000 yet this fiscal year?
What happens to that is it goes into it kind of falls back into the surplus to get divvied up equally. So it's not like it goes in bulk to those counties who missed out. It really just kind of gets divvied up into the big surplus pot.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem. All right, that's it for my portion, but I do have, I believe, Zetron on the line in order to give an update on where we're at with the shared services. And I do want to pause real quick because the question came in online asking if those funds can be carried over for next year. What the 34A says is that $100,000 per fiscal year is allowed for those activities. So it's not like we lose it. It's not like it goes into the general fund. It does go into the surplus, but we can't carry it over per se. It's not like we can carry $140,000 into next year's specific training fund. So it would be another $100,000 for next fiscal year. So it's kind of somewhat in between what you're asking there. We can't carry it over, but we don't really necessarily lose it either. It's just divvied up amongst all the PSAPs. All right. With that, I will turn it over to, if Cody is on, to give an update on shared services.
Yep, I am here, Blake. Excellent. Thank you. So the updates that we have is Jones County is going live March 25th, Van Buren, April 8th, Cass County, May 8th, Des Moines County, with the circuits being turned up on May 6th. We should be looking at that go live time frame on the May 20th. As we go through some of their other deployments, Jones County is, the EMD portion of their section is going on right now. Olwine, June 10th. And then we have a slew of other counties that were in the process of developing their attachment 7 and 8s to look at options, which includes Buchanan, Lynn, Ringgold, Winneshiek. We've got Warren County's site survey scheduled or scheduling. And then, of course, we've got a few holding deployments based on some Comtech wireline statewide alley installation and turn updates. Outside of that, I think that's the bulk of updates that we've got here for our side.
All right, any questions for Cody? No slides, but I didn't want to give ICN or Comtech, believe both of you, your entities are on the call. Any report from either of you? I'll go check with ICN first.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep, go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So this is Mike Lauer, ICN. Just wanted to give everyone a quick update. As Blake mentioned, there has been the kind of month to maybe 5 week turn back of the wireline migration. As of right now, we're basically preparing up to hopefully start to hit that hopefully in the mid-June timeframe. That looks to be promising towards that. We do have a list of some sites still left to be agreed upon because we've had to change around some PSAP cut date timeframes. And there's a lot of moving parts towards this. As Blake said, there have been weekly calls that he's a part of, and then you would probably multiply that by 2 of what ICN's doing for that perspective of things. So as of right now, not seeing any major issues towards that. Thank everybody for weathering through with this. Obviously, with the COVID response, it's provided some time frames for our partners and vendors, but everything's done great. And also would like to thank just the PSAPs as well that have allowed access for ICN and other vendors to get in to make sure that this process is going well towards that. So not seeing any issues going forward towards here, and we will keep moving along and hopefully start that migration. And we're still shooting for that fall time frame to get those things finished. It'll probably be a little bit later fall since we've had a month going forward, but we still look to get this finished in this calendar year. So any questions for ICN? Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. And then Bill with Comtech, anything to add?
Good morning. No, not really anything to add. I suppose just again, as echoing Mike, thanks to everybody who's participated, and I know that we've asked every PSAP to for just information. We've got everything we need, I think, on that end. So just thanks for everybody's cooperation and participation in that. Any questions for Comtech?
Thanks, Bill. And then finally, for me, just to close things out, I appreciate everyone. They're patient with us. We've been swamped with COVID-19 response. I've been pulled into ops as well. So if delays to emails have been experienced, I apologize. And thank you for all of your participation for those who filled out various PSAP surveys that we did. Appreciate all of your feedback on that and just your continued ongoing support during COVID-19 response, and hopefully everyone's hanging in there. I haven't heard of too big of impacts, but obviously it's impacting all of our daily lives and all of our work lives to some extent. So I appreciate all of your patience and continued support and cooperation. Any questions for me? Otherwise, my report is complete.
Okay, thank you, Blake. I don't believe we have any training firm requests. We'll go on with reports of officers. Is there any technical advisories? Okay. I believe we have Chris Myers on the line. Chris, could you please give your report?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
All right. And good morning to you and everybody on the council. Want to thank everybody for their work with the response to COVID-19. As Blake mentioned before, it's kind of upended our daily lives in many ways, shapes, and forms. And I do want to pass on that I appreciate every single one of you for what you're doing out there. Quick update from the board. we are working on our TA requests from CISA and ECD post-COVID. We've had to delay nearly all of them. We're working on avenues to make up the ones we can, and maybe restructuring a few of the requests to make them more pertinent to what we may be encountering right now. Look to the ISICS board's website over the next month or so for updates on that. We've got time to move on to the PSAP grant. We've got more test calls scheduled for next week. In addition to those test calls, we are still offering one-on-one PSAP training. If your center is locked down, we've been able to do this virtually with a couple places so far, and it's worked out fairly well. And it actually allows us to offer an extra session, so you may not have to worry about having your staff overlap shifts, depending on what your policies look like right now. If you want to do that, let me know, and we'll get everything set up. ISICS applications that have been approved for level 1 access over the last month or so: Avera Healthcare, Anamosa Fire, Clark County Emergency Management. Those are all level 1. Level 2 applications that have been approved for operable use on ISICS include Baxter Fire Department, Calhoun County Emergency Management, Des Moines Public Schools, the Iowa National Guard, Safeguard Iowa Partnership, West Branch Police and Fire Department, Iowa Department of Corrections, Mount Pleasant Facility, Mitchell County EMA, and the Waukon Police Department. Those are all level 2. Applications up for approval today include Pottawatomie County for level 2 and Winneshiek County for level 1 access. As far as policy stuff the board is working on, we have an LTE deployable policy that is up for possible approval today. That was posted for public comment last month. We have not received any public comments, so that'll be under new business today. Items for dispatchers, we have Status Board. That program that I demoed a couple of months ago is live. Initially, we were going to go through a slow rollout, but given with COVID and the need for coordination on comms plans to varying degrees, we've expedited that deployment. And if you have not yet signed up, you can certainly let me know and we'll get you set up within 2 hours. This has been great for establishing local coordination and conveying a comms plan for things like drive-through testing sites. Any comms plans you guys need to develop, you can post on Status Board, and then anybody else that may be coming in to assist will have awareness of what you're working on. As of today, we have 57 unique different agencies. Many of these are PSAPs. Actually, most of them are PSAPs with 347 unique user accounts. There's no cost for this service. It operates through any modern web browser, and everything that we've gotten for feedback so far says that it's fairly easy to integrate into whatever workflow you guys already have. If you are curious about a COVID comms plan that's on Status Board, we have allocated the 6th pack in each region and statewide for that type of response. If you have anything COVID related, you can use that 6th pack, example, our TAC, R1 TAC 16, all the way through our 6th TAC 66. You can use that for COVID stuff. We're going to be offering Status Board training virtually within the next month or so, assuming that standard for Status Board is completed. And if you have any questions, of course, just reach out to me with respect to Status Board. That's my report, Mr. Chair. I'll go ahead and take any questions.
Okay, thank you very much, Chris. Okay, up next, Jim Lundstedt, are you on?
Yes, good morning, Rob. Are you able to hear me okay?
I am, thank you.
Excellent, thank you. Just a couple of quick updates. Chris covered technical assistance in his briefing. Nationwide, virtually all of our on-site technical assistance and exercise has been suspended for the past 6.5 to 7 weeks. We are working with the states, territories, and tribes to identify opportunities to customize some of the less hands-on training opportunities and assessment activities to conduct those virtually, but the number adopted has been relatively low, just like with your training request. However, we anticipate that starting to spin back up perhaps by the July 1 or August 1 timeframe. CISA has released a number of products related to COVID-19. Specifically, we sent out or released a document called CISA COVID-19 activities that relates to cybersecurity. It's been released to the statewide interoperability coordinators and the 911 administrators. If you do not have a copy, you can go to our website, CISA.gov, and look for the tab marked CISA Insights. We have some pretty good information on understanding disinformation in a COVID-19 environment. There are a great deal of conspiracy theories as well as threat actors, both domestic and international, who have been attempting to take advantage of our infrastructure, hospitals, healthcare facilities, research facilities, and others during this time. Mentioning threat actors, there is public source information about conspiracy theories about COVID-19 and next generation wireless networks called 5G or millimeter wave 5G networks that are being constructed in the United States. Worldwide, there have been a number of sites that have been vandalized or outright destroyed by people who believe that millimeter wave wireless is a threat to human life. I would urge you to just do a Google search about 5G conspiracy theories. Don't sign up for anything just yet, but be aware that your wireless infrastructure, because it represents a tower, can be mistaken for a 5G site. We had in the public domain, there was a tower that was felled in Nevada last week by individuals who had threatened that it was a concern for public health, and it actually was cut down by individuals with a cutting torch. So there are a lot of calls for enhanced awareness in public safety to protect your critical infrastructure that supports your communications networks. It's difficult for some of these individuals to discern the difference between a land mobile radio tower and a cell site. And although that's the most public aware of that particular site that was felt, there have been instances where assets were set on fire, power was disabled, and the site ran down, batteries disabled or expended rather. And if you're interested in more on that, I've shared this information to the extent we can with the SWCS and 911 community as well. Rob, any questions for me or for CISA on this topic?
No, it's just disturbing what uninformed fears can bring to our society. It's unfortunate we have to deal with this as if we don't have enough going on, but thank you for that heads up.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Are there any questions from anyone else for Jim? All right. Thank you, Jim. Okay, going forward, Chapter 34A Administrative Code Committee update. Tracy Bearden, are you on the line?
Yes, I am. And we don't have any updates right now with everything with the COVID-19 and with people being so busy. I've decided just to postpone until we can actually get participation. I know people are juggling multiple tasks, so hopefully early summer we can get back at things. I just want to make sure we don't exclude anybody because they're working on several different tasks at the same time.
Absolutely. Understandable. I can move on to the baseline knowledge. Jamie, I imagine that you're probably in the same situation.
Yeah, I was going to actually just see if anybody on the council had any questions, since they've had time to look at the report. I do have, other meetings I got to get to today, but I definitely wanted to poke my head in and see if, make sure it was okay that we table this until we could do a little bit more formal discussion on it. But I did want to, if anybody has any questions or something that they wanted me to make sure that I brought information to present in depth when we do roll this out, I will gladly listen to those and bring whatever I need to bring.
Okay, Jamie, sounds like they're, sorry, is there someone had something?
I was just going to say, if no one has anything specifically they want, then I'll just, we'll just present the whole thing. And and hopefully everybody's taken some time to review it, and we can have a good discussion about it when we can actually get
Yeah.
together.
Yeah, I agree. These virtual meetings, while get things done, it's a little difficult to have really good conversations. So I appreciate the work you guys have been doing, and I think it warrants a better approach than what we can do here online. But thank you, Jamie. And obviously, if people have questions about this committee or things that they'd like to see, obviously Jamie's certainly contactable by email. I'm sure he has no problem with that. And otherwise, we will hear the full report as we get together, not so virtually. So thank you, Jamie.
Thank you, sir.
Do we have any legislative issues to talk about?
This is Blake. I don't know about legislative issues, but I do know that they are scheduled to come back to session June 3rd after the primaries. And it'll probably look a little bit different down at the Capitol with hand sanitizing stations and health screenings to get into the Capitol. I'm also kind of hearing mixed thoughts on what they'll be taking up at this point, if it'll be strictly budgetary or if there'll be any policy legislation that they'll consider. So some of those things are yet to come out. So for some of the stuff that kind of loosely touched 911 or more specifically like telecommunicator, I don't know the end result of that. So stay tuned.
Yeah, I imagine what's left of this legislative session is going to look much different than what we're used to. So
Agreed.
Absolutely. Thank you. Okay, on to our unfinished business. We still have further discussions to talk about with the rule changes pertaining to training funds. Really hate kicking cans down the road, and I don't think we anticipated that we'd have to kick it down the road for the reasons that we are. I would like to propose something. I know we've had some good discussion about this and a lot of different angles to look at it. I think given the situation that we're in, and right now I'm just really concentrating on simplicity right now, keeping in mind that anything we do today is something that we can look at again in the future and see if we've either created problems or solved the problems that we set out to solve. I would like to just see if anyone on the council would be willing to propose simply adding a 10% match, a local 10% match. That match could be recovered either locally or through the participants or sponsors or whatever. That really wouldn't be any of our business. But keeping it quite simple and just simply having a 10% match with an exception to training that would be conducted at ILEA or APCONENA conferences. And like I say, we can always go back to this and see if it's caused any problems. I didn't really mind too much the per student angle. The only negative thing that I can really think of there is that I think we might unintentionally be causing some artificial pricing when we start throwing numbers specifically at per student. That could either create a higher price or a lower price or whatever, but I think it's artificial, and it might be something that we might have to chase for quite some time. I think maybe it would be something that we'd have to look at constantly and see if that needed to be adjusted. And I think we might just be adding some more complexity to it. But in its spirit, I have no problems with it. I just don't know that it simplified it, and I think simplification is really what we're looking for. Is there any council member that who would desire to make a motion to simply add 10% local match, again with the exception to ILEA and APCONENA?
This is Lawrence. I'd be willing to move that we do so.
Okay.
This is Griffith. I'll second that.
Okay, somebody said something and it was so muffled I couldn't understand it.
This is Griffith. I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion?
Hey, Rob, this is Blake. Just a suggestion with 64 people on the call, we might want to do a roll call vote on that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Do we have any discussion? Okay, Kara, could you please do a roll call vote for us, please?
Yes. Tracy Bearden,
Aye.
Lawrence,
Aye.
Aye. Oh, sorry.
Garrett Browder,
Aye.
George Griffith,
Aye.
Mike Bryan, have you jumped back on? Or are you on? Well, absent. Mark Murphy,
Aye.
Jeff Anderson,
Aye.
Robbie Johannesson, are you on?
I am. Aye.
Okay. Rob Dennert,
Aye.
Jack D'Angelo,
Aye.
Taylor Teeple, absent. And then myself, aye. Okay, I think that's it, Rob.
Okay, thank you, Kara. The motion or the action then passes. Do we have any new business? I don't have anything. Does anybody else have anything? Okay. Blake, I don't believe we have any travel requests, do we?
Nope, no one's going anywhere.
I wouldn't think so. Okay, so any business from the floor?
Hey, Rob, there was a question about the what we just passed in the chat log. Did y'all see that?
I'm sorry, I did not.
It says, is this 10% local match applied to the host agency or the employee's agency?
Well, I think the 10% match would be whatever the host, however they decided to raise that. They could cover it themselves. They could certainly have participants cover that. One of the things that I found when we did training is there are also local costs that aren't necessarily covered by the grant that we experienced, whether those be, simple things like coffee and water. Maybe you have costs for the location that you have it, whatever. So I think that's also another opportunity for the host agency perhaps to recover some of those costs along with the 10%. But I really don't think it would matter to the council where that 10% came from, just as long as the host agency understand that 90% of the training itself would be covered if accepted by the council for training funds.
This is Blake. We have that kind of policy on those funds. I'll work on updating that based on the motion that passed and make sure that there's some clarifying information to back it up, just based on, I get a general sense of where we're going with that. So I'll update that so everyone's kind of on the same page.
That sounds great, Blake. Thank you. Okay, any other business from the floor? Okay, well, I thank everybody for taking the time to join us today. A lot of things going on in our world right now, and I've seen a lot of challenges I never thought I'd face as a sheriff. I'm sure you in your roles are seeing those same challenges. One thing that I can say, in spite of all the things that have gone right or wrong, the one thing that does seem to be going very well in Iowa is not only 911 in general, but public safety in general. I think the state of Iowa should be proud of the way they're responding to what's been going on, and the locals really have done a great job, I think, in keeping people safe and doing what needs to be done. So please keep up the great work. It's not going unnoticed. And until we can meet again, thank you for joining us today. With that, I will adjourn the meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Very well. Thank you, everyone. Have a great week.